There comes a moment when silence says more than any scream ever could. It's the moment you no longer try to prove your worth, no longer waste energy explaining yourself, and no longer play in a game designed for you to lose. If you have ever been caught in the emotional grip of a narcissistic woman, you know how draining it feels, like your voice is stolen, your truth twisted, and your peace traded for chaos. This video is about reclaiming that peace. It's not about revenge or shouting back. It's about finding clarity, setting boundaries, and protecting your inner world. These 7 responses are not just words. They are weapons of calm, shields of strength, and reminders that you hold the power to end manipulation without raising your voice. Before diving in, a quick note. This channel, Emotional Soulmate, is dedicated to exposing the truth about narcissists and emotional abuse, while helping survivors rebuild their lives with strength and clarity. If you have ever wondered why a narcissist leaves you feeling drained, confused, or powerless, you're in the right place. Stay with this video until the very end. Not only will you recognize toxic patterns with crystal clarity, but you will also leave with practical tools you can use immediately to protect your peace. 1. Ending the endless explanations. When you deal with a narcissist, explaining yourself feels like survival. You explain to be heard, to be understood, to prove your truth. But in their world, your explanations are never respected. They are twisted, dismissed, or stored away to be used against you later. It is a trap that steals both your voice and your peace. Every time you defend a choice or justify a boundary, you are unknowingly fueling their control. They don't ask to listen. They ask to keep you off balance. The more you explain, the more they pull you into a stage where the script is already written. You act, they criticize, and you end up drained. True freedom begins when that performance ends. Choosing not to explain is not cold. It is wise. It is clarity. It is the moment you stop pouring life into manipulation. The cycle collapses when you realize that your truth doesn't need their approval. You don't owe endless explanations to someone who never intended to hear them. When the urge to justify disappears, so does the game. And in that silence, you finally reclaim the power to protect your peace. 2. Escaping forced agreement. Narcissists don't just share opinions. They impose them. They present their version of reality as absolute fact and demand that you agree. When you resist, they push harder. When you try to stand firm, they attack. Over time, disagreement feels dangerous, and many people give in just to avoid conflict. But giving in is how control grows. True strength is learning to stand apart without needing to fight. It is seeing their view for what it is, theirs, not yours. Their perspective does not define your truth. You can acknowledge their reality without carrying it as your own. That separation is freedom. This isn't about arguing or proving them wrong. It isn't about asking for understanding or validation. It is simply about removing the bait. When you refuse to be dragged into their version of reality, the chains loosen. You are no longer bound by their demand for agreement. And in that distance, something powerful happens. Emotional independence. You reclaim the right to think, to see, and to live without their shadow defining your world. 3. The disarming power of silence. Silence can be terrifying when used against you, but when you choose it with calm intention, it becomes your greatest shield. Narcissists thrive on engagement. They need your reactions to feel in control. Anger, fear, tears. Any response is proof they still have influence. But when provocation is met with silence, the power shifts. Your silence becomes a mirror that reflects their emptiness back to them. Without your emotional energy, their tactics fall flat. The drama they create can no longer hook you. This silence is not avoidance. It is strength. It is not about retreating. It is about refusing to feed the fire. In your stillness, their control slips away. Without your reactions, they lose the stage, the script, and the spotlight. The calm silence you hold is a quiet declaration. You no longer have power here, and nothing disarms a manipulator faster than realizing the game is over. 4. Refusing to waste energy. Every insult, accusation, or guilt trip is bait designed to drain your energy. Under narcissistic control, your time and focus are pulled into constant battles, leaving nothing for your own healing or peace. You become trapped in endless chaos that feels urgent but leads nowhere. Learning to refuse that drain is liberation. You realize not every attack deserves a response. Not every insult deserves acknowledgement. Some things are simply not worthy of your energy. This isn't weakness. It is wisdom. Choosing where your attention goes is an act of sovereignty. It is how you reclaim ownership of your life. Protecting your peace is not about fighting every battle. It's about knowing which battles are worth fighting and which are nothing more than traps. When you stop wasting energy on what doesn't matter, you create space for what does. You build strength not through constant defense, but through wise protection of your inner world. 5. Restoring inner truth. One of the deepest wounds of narcissistic abuse is the loss of identity. Through gaslighting and projection, they chip away at your sense of self until you doubt your own worth. Over time, confidence crumbles and confusion takes its place. You begin to see yourself through their distorted lens. Healing begins when you reclaim that inner truth. When you stand firm and declare that no one else gets to decide how you see yourself, the fog starts to clear. Your worth is not up for debate. Your truth is not subject to their manipulation. This is more than defiance. It is ownership. It is taking back the authority over your own life and identity. Once that ground is reclaimed, no amount of criticism can shake it. No manipulation can reach it. Restoring inner truth is like rebuilding the foundation of a house after years of damage. Stronger, clearer, and no longer dependent on someone else's approval. 6. Setting boundaries without apology. Boundaries are not punishments. They are protections. But in a relationship with a narcissist, boundaries are often ignored, mocked, or punished. This is why enforcing them calmly, firmly, and without apology is so powerful. When you state, "I am not available for this," you are not asking for permission. You are declaring reality. It is like closing a locked door that no longer needs to explain why it's shut. The boundary exists because your peace matters, because your safety matters. Being unavailable is not a strategy. It's a choice, a way of deciding what gains access to your mind, your emotions, and your life. No anger, no shouting, just firm clarity. And in that moment, you reclaim power. You no longer wait for them to respect your limits. You enforce them yourself, without apology, without fear, and without hesitation. 7. Walking away in complete silence. The final act of strength is walking away, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. This separation often begins long before the final goodbye. It is the moment you realize there is nothing left to argue, nothing left to prove, nothing left to seek. Walking away in silence is sacred. It is not retreat. It is a return to your truth, your peace, and the parts of life that still feel warm and real. It is not about dramatic exits or final speeches. It is calm, steady detachment. This silence is the ultimate release. It is choosing freedom over conflict, clarity over confusion, and peace over chaos. The narcissist loses control not in a battle, but in the quiet moment you decide the game is no longer worth playing. Walking away without words is not weakness. It is the loudest declaration of strength you will ever make. It is the point where healing truly begins. The quiet revolution of self-protection. Escaping the grip of a narcissist is never simple, and it always leaves marks. But those marks do not define the future. They become reminders of survival, strength, and the choice to protect peace above all else. Each calm response is a doorway out of chaos and into clarity. Each one reclaims a piece of your power. This journey is not loud or dramatic. It is quiet, steady, and deeply transformative. Because there comes a time when protecting your peace is more important than proving anything. And in that moment, silence becomes the loudest declaration of self-love. Your voice, your boundaries, and your peace are worth protecting. Always remember, strength doesn't need to shout. Sometimes it only needs to breathe, stand firm, and walk away. If this video has touched you, share your thoughts in the comments. Someone else may find comfort in knowing they are not alone. And as always, because YouTube's algorithm tends to favor videos with strong engagement, if you feel this video has brought you value, a simple like and a quick subscribe would mean so much. It not only helps this message reach more people who need it, but also ensures you will never miss the next video that could make a difference in your journey. Thanks all.